item, which is apologies for absence. Have we received any?
Excellent, Smith Roberts.
That was it.
Okay, thank you. Point 2 is declarations of interest. Members to declare any interest, including disclosable pecuniary interest that may have an addendum item accord with the requirements of the Parish Council's Code of Conduct, and consider any prior requests from members for dispensations that accord with the Act 2011. Such minutes to approve and sign this correct record of the meetings of the previous committee held on the 4th of March. I hope these have been distributed and people read them. I was not part of the committee at that time, so vote on that one. So may I have a proposal for these? Thank you, Councillor Ellis. Seconder, Councillor Fernandez. All votes in favour? There's none against, no abstentions, so I confirm that that is carried in a true reflection. Thank you. I'll sign them now. Good. Moving on to point 4, the forward plan. Members should note the forward plan for the Finance and Governance Committee. This has all been circulated again. Any questions? What order do I need to propose it?
Yes, it's just to note them.
Just to note them. That's good. Got a proposal for the forward plan. Councillor Toes, a seconder. Councillor Furman. All votes in favour? Nothing against, no abstention. So again, confirm that this is carried. Thank you. On to point 5. This is the SIL policy update. So members to consider the SIL policy that was again all circulated in the notes. And I believe our officer, Angela Palmer, is going to brief us on that point. Thank you, Angela.
Lovely, thank you, Chair. Evening, members. Before you today is a slight amendment to the SIL policy that you agreed in November 24. Since we haven't had an agreement, we've had a couple of applications from neighbouring parish councils for SIL money. The first one being Bishop's Hole, which was a joint project collectively, and we were both putting the sums of money. The one that really caused consternation was the application from West Monkton for funds towards Maidenbrook. And when we were working through it, it was quite clear that we didn't really have anything within our current SIL policy to deal with situations like that. So as you can see from the report in the italics, an addition is going to be added to the SIL policy upon your agreement tonight, setting out basically what we will do should a neighbouring parish council wish to apply for SIL money from us. The most important thing is that the project benefits the residents of Taunton. We need to understand obviously what SIL balances they've got, what resources they've committed to the project already, as I said, what and how it will support residents of Taunton, what our own current balance is. Once we've got all of that information, then we will obviously take it through the grant consultant, will give his view, senior leadership, strategic leadership team will give their view, and then we'll come back to yourselves with an applicant with the report and application for further consideration for resolution onto full council. So really, before you start, it's just a small amendment, obviously, just to cover those situations. Should we have a further application, which obviously we don't know at the moment, but it could happen in the future. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Councillor Furman.
Thank you. So is this just sort of asking like the general questions of, what benefit is it? What benefit is it to Taunton? How will it affect the SIL budget? Is there any sort of other process to it, or is it just asking those questions?
It's just understanding basically. So if we take the Maidenbrook example, which was obviously the one that really sort of came to the fore. Obviously, West Monkton had significant SIL funds for themselves. reverse of that was in actual fact they'd also got lottery funding, they put a lot of money in themselves. So it was a combination of the two, and I think it was your recommendation that we actually made the contribution itself. But I think we just highlighted the fact that we need to take that extra step when it's enabling a parish to ensure that we actually recognise the fact of what monies they've got. You know, are they taking our funds when in actual fact they could use their own funds? Those sort of questions.
Yes, that's Chairman.
Also with this, will this be only affecting sort of geographical neighbouring parishes, or if there's, you know, sort of like one that's over, will there be a policy saying no, you can't apply for us, or will there be an exception made?
At the moment, we've only really had neighbouring parishes, so Westminster and Bishop's Hall. I don't think we've had anything wider afield. And I struggle to, you know, whether or not there would be something, I suppose not Fitzwarren, I suppose something like that. I think we would just have to deal with it. This one is trying to make it quite broad. So that I know we've said neighbouring, but you know, we're trying to make it so broad such that if somebody, another parish council does apply to us for what they think is a benefit for Taunton, that we've still got the same process that we'll go through. We understand what their seal balances are. We understand what benefit it will give to Taunton residents. And what resources have already been committed. So we'll still go through those processes. I think we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Okay,
Excellent.
thank you.
Then Councillor Twos.
Yes, Councillor Ellis. Yeah.
You know, I think this is very sensible, and it's just good to have it out, you know, in black and white, and to recognise that this, you know, this has happened on 2 occasions where we have, I like to see it's collaboration in the interest of Taunton residents, where a project is either it could cross boundaries, as in the Bishop's Hole example, where it's a road, but you've got one side is one parish and the other side is another. Or as in the case of Maidenbrook, where it's just right, you know, right up against the edge of Taunton. You've got a big housing estate where Taunton residents will benefit. But each case may be different and you can't predict. But I think it's good. I think more generally, we need to see more cooperation across parishes. If you look at like what Hesticombe has done, Hesticombe LCN, they've got umpteen parishes pooling funds. I don't think that's why. I don't know where the money for that. Maybe some of the money has come from still. I don't know, but I just think we need to expect and hope for more cross parish initiatives. I just wish the parishes outside Taunton would actually put their free sets up to a decent level to provide. You know, there is this inequality. People will be using Taunton services and they're not paying as much as Taunton residents. That's just a, you know, I'm not sure if there's ever going to be any way around that. It's just, before you could have argued that other places were subsidising Taunton when we didn't have a town council. So I just see this as a very sensible clarification. So we know that this is possible, and it sets out, you know, yes, there is a procedure for this, and these are the factors that we need to consider, which are very sensible factors.
Thank you. Yeah, very sensible. I agree. Just to be clear, there's no. These are clearly our seal funds. There's no doubt about that, and it is totally within our gift as members when it gets to the full council to decide that. There's no potential legal comeback. It's clear.
No, it's your decision. You know, obviously we have the seal regulations, which determines what seal is used for. But beyond that, you know, it is this committee and that resolution onto full council that will make the decision. Obviously, a grant officer from a broader perspective will have a view, because obviously there might be something come through the grant process, and obviously strategic leadership will have their view as well, so that you'll have as round a picture as you can do in these particular instances. So when you do make a decision, we've got probably slightly more facts, shall we say, than we would normal seal application. Understand what I mean?
Thank you. Any more questions? Thank you, Angela. That's very clear and a good roundup. So can I have a proposal, please? Thank you, Councillor Ellis. Seconder, Councillor Toes. All votes in favour? None against, then, so no any abstentions. So I confirm that motion is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Angela. Once again, thank you. So moving swiftly along, point 6, which is a financial update. So members are asked to consider the reports attached and note the current position. In addition, members are asked to consider making a recommendation to full council that the breach of the reserve policy is carried out without rectification pending reimbursement of the grant in respect of the urban tree challenge. So I'd ask Gail to run through her very copious reports, please. Thank you.
Chair. This report is to give an update on the financial outturn against budget for 24-25. Includes the balance sheet and the earmark reserves as at the end of the financial year. Shows that any environments that have been made since mid-February when we reported the last committee. There's the payments made since the 24th of February up to the end of April, and the opening balances for the budget for as at the 1st of April. You'll see that the budget, there were no items that needed to be reported when the material variances as defined. Areas which are going early into the intention was those those unspent items actually being moved to earmark reserves. Earmark reserves being so those prices on the general reserve. And then there at appendix 3 to review, and the final part is the opening balances in budget for 25-26. And as part of that report, you'll see all the accruals and prepayments that were made at the year end that show the starting position for this current financial year with the agreed budget for the current financial year.
Thank you, Gail. As just recently from last week, taken over chair or vice chair of the Finance and Governance Committee, I haven't had chance, and I'm only back from holiday yesterday, to read all this in detail. But can I ask for any questions, please, that Gail could answer for you?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I'm probably a bit lost again, Gail. Sorry. So the Tree Challenge Fund is money owed to us or will be paid back at some time in the future by Somerset Council.
Yes, I believe that there is a grant that they applied for that they will get through the grant process. Prior to the year end, after the trees were planted, we then put all the paperwork in, and so that could be sent off by Somerset Council to get repayment by the grant.
So the money that I see in the report of payment, so we've paid something with a line of the Urban Tree Fund.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to get my head around it. Sorry.
That's fine. It wasn't budgeted for in that year's budget, so there was it shows as an unbudgeted amount of 187,000.
Okay.
But it was agreed that it would be taken out of the general reserve last year, which is where money's come from if they're not coming out of the current year fund.
Perfect, thank you.
Would be repaid the following.
Thank you, Gail. Any other questions? Can I just ask one, Gail, please? On the cash audit cash book, there's a couple of entries in there with the pay sort of blacked out.
Yes.
What could you just say what the reasons were that those for?
As one of them was a salary payment that was rejected through the bank system because the member of staff gave us the wrong bank details when they first joined. So that was rejected, and then on payday we had to remake that payment.
Yeah.
And the other one is to the consultant that we use for projects. So that's personal details.
Yeah, okay, that's lovely. Thank you very much. So can we move on then? Can I have a proposal for all the girls done on that? Councillor Furman, seconder, please. Councillor Ellis, all votes in favour? Good, all in favour, so no against, no abstentions. So I can confirm that this is now carried. Thank you very much. And thanks, Gail, for all the work you've done on that one. Excellent. So moving on to point 7, our internal audit report. Again, a lot of work Gail's been put into this one. So follow review of the detailed internal audit report from the AIAR, and the subject being satisfied matters arising have been suitably addressed to mitigate risk. It is present the committee recommend that full council note the detailed internal audit report and supports the AGAR submission and confirms that the actions undertaken by the officers have mitigated and identified the risks appropriately. Thank you. Over to Gary again. Thank you.
Okay, so this is the internal audit report. Attached is the detailed report. The majority of what's in the report was reported earlier in the year to committee, and all of the items have been addressed. He raised one minor point when he came to his final visit, which was an outstanding amount, £68.75 on our debtor book, which we've been chasing. I was very well aware of that, but it relates to gate fees to Victoria Park, of which at the moment residents are disputing. And so I think that this person wasn't going to pay because some were disputing. We've had a complaint. So at the moment, officers are trying to ascertain whether we should be claiming those payments from the residents. It's something that came from SWT. So the problem we've got is we don't really know who lives in those houses. We don't have an understanding of when they've moved house, so we've got no contact details really. But people have been paying that we've been billing, apart from that one particular person. We raise that as a point of order to say that really we should be doing something about that. But I think at the moment there's a potential to have to go back and repay all of those to all of the people that paid if we find that they're not in the deeds, because we aren't charging a gate fee for the other parks.
That's good. Any questions? Sorry, Councillor Furman.
Yes, on that point, if we were to have to pay back all that money, can we say in public what that amount would be, or would we have to work that out?
I'd have to check, but I mean the payment there, I think it's £50 a year for each resident that we've been claiming. I can't remember how many have paid and how many could follow up on.
Yeah, but I think it,
But that one in particular has been outstanding since June 2024.
okay. Yeah. Councillor Towns.
Yeah, just to say, I don't know if I can, but I got good knowledge of a lot of people that live along there. So if there's anything I can help with as local councillor, I presume it's Priory Avenue, Shutter Gate. So any help I can give, let me know.
Yeah, we're looking at the land registry at the moment to see if it's in the covenants in their deeds.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Towns. I also have some personal friends that live along there, so again, if can help, can go through. I do hope it's not those that are not.
So if we had to be, can we write those off if we choose to eventually then? Yeah. Thank you, sorry.
To set precedent though against the fees, there's quite a number of houses that do back onto that
Yeah,
part there.
but as we're not charging it in any of the other parks, it's also of concern as to why we're doing it in one and not in the others.
Yeah, another question, Councillor Brown, thank you.
Yeah, so was that kind of like a holdover policy from when it was, the old council?
I believe so.
That's something we consider to look at as we go forward, perhaps, but thank you.
So that was the only matter that the internal auditor raised, and obviously I responded saying that we're dealing with it, we were aware of it. We have been through our normal credit control procedures. So as a result of all of that, the internal auditor is happy to sign off the annual internal audit report, which supports our our submission to our external auditors with our AGAR. And that's attached at Appendix 2. He's ticked yes to all of those things, so he's happy with our control structure. And that'll be sent with the sections 1 and 2 of the annual governance and accountability return, which we'll move on to in the next 2 agenda items.
Yeah, good. That's very comprehensive. There you go. Well done. So could I have a proposal? If there's no more questions, that is, proposal, Councillor Ellis, seconder, please. Councillor Fernandez. So have a vote in favour. All in favour. So again, that's carried. Thank you. So we can move on now to the point 8, which is the annual governance statement. So following consideration of the items highlighted, the report members are asked to make a recommendation to the full council as to the response to each of the assertions.
Okay.
Over to go.
Thank you. Yes, okay, so the first part of the annual governance and accountability return is the annual governance statement. So section 1, and section 1 has 9 questions or assertions, as they call them, to which the council needs to respond yes or no. And to do that, the proper practices, which you'll find in Appendix 1 in details what actions the council has to carry out to provide a positive response in each case. So on the left-hand side in the table are the actions, and on the right-hand side I've annotated the evidence to support the positive assertion. So I think it would be good if we could go down each assertion and the committee could decide whether they think that we can recommend a yes or they can recommend yes or no to full council for each of those questions. So the question assertion 1 is we have put in place arrangements for effective risk management during the year and for the preparation of accounting statements. And then you can see in the right hand column under assertion 1 all the things that we've done the council to support that. Take any questions on it?
Any questions? Councillor Tones?
Is this a new document or did we have the same last year?
I don't think you had the same last year, but I don't understand how you can make an assertion yes if you don't know what the evidence is and you don't know what the requirements are.
Yeah, and these are so the evidence is provided by yourself and other officers. And does this document get covered by any form of audit, or is that for us to do?
No, that's for you to do, to scrutinise, and this will have to go to full council as well.
Yeah, okay.
When you're making a recommendation, yes or no, they have to review it as well.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yeah, Gail, can I ask, whether we this meeting now going point by point for the 9 points now?
I think we should. Well, this committee has to decide whether you're happy to say yes to all of those 9 assertions and recommend that to council, that they tick them, and that the clerk and the chair of the full council sign that and submit those assertions to our external auditors.
Should we read through them one at a time, and then
So yes,
is everybody okay with it? Has everybody read those?
Totally.
I probably just as a point, if the yes and no was at the end of the column, because it's in the middle, it split the sort of description, doesn't it?
so you're looking at the next appendix on.
Yes, sorry.
Oh right, okay. I was looking
Annual governance.
at appendix 1, which has got all of the evidence requirements that are supporting it, and therefore if we took each assertion at a time, then we can decide independently whether you're happy to tick those or recommend that council say yes.
Councillor Furman had his hand up.
Sorry. Councillor Furman, would you?
If we're going, through each number, I'll come to when I want to say the question.
So on session 1, does this committee think that you can recommend to council positive assertion and negative assertion? I'd say yes.
Yes,
I read already, so I'm happy with a lot.
you are.
Pretty much,
Yes.
unless something else occurs to me.
So if we go back one for the timing of the meetings and everything, is everybody okay with all the points there? I must admit, I've read them all and I thought Gail's done a really good job on all of these. So and very good. So I don't think there's so I'm looking at the next attachment when I said do it point by point.
Yeah.
There's only 9, which was a yes or a no.
Yes.
So
Each of those is in on this appendix 1 as well. I put the assertion is at the top in bold of each
Yes.
of those.
yeah, okay, that's good. So if we do it in that fashion, I believe Councillor Furman has a question on one of the points. Thank you, Ed.
Yes, thank you. On number 3, within the first point, it talks about the acting within the council's powers. Could you put the evidence there, just saying that we have constitution and standing orders, stating who does what and what the council can and can't do.
Well, this is about acting within powers. So actually, I would say that's something that the clerk could probably comment on, because that's technically what she talks about, isn't it? Whether we're acting in our powers within it.
Yeah, there's nothing on here at all that we can say that we don't do within our standard orders and financial regulations. So it's just, we could add that in to say that it's all of this adheres to those policies, which are the main ones of our governance structure.
Got the general power of competence
Yeah.
too, haven't we? So we don't, there's no ultra vires we.
No.
I can change this.
Thank you, Councillor Furman, for that due diligence question. Councillor Fernandez's question, please.
Thanks. Does that come under assertion 2 though, internal controls that you were just discussing about standing orders and things? I think it's all, is it not all wrapped up in that bit about all those internal controls that we have in assertion 2?
It does say standard orders and financial regulations are in place and they're reviewed.
I suppose in session 3, there's the potential that we could add in there, rather than the standing orders, the fact that that's the clerk's job really to advise the council whether they're acting within their powers. Because this is powers as defined by
Internal
statute
controls, yeah.
rather than internal controls.
Choose.
Sorry, Councillor Jones, please. Thank you.
Yeah, just to pick up our previous conversation, Gail, and the timescale, it says it goes to the external auditor no later than the 30th of June. So I presume that means they will look at our assertions and your evidence and feedback if they believe
They won't.
not relinquishing our responsibility and moving it all onto external auditor. I'm just trying to understand if it will be sort of checked back over by somebody.
They won't look at our assertions. They will look at the assertions, yes or no, that we've, and
Yeah.
if we said no to any of them, they will want a clear reason why we said no.
Right.
But they also look at, because of the size of our council, they look at the detailed internal audit report. So they'll have a feel for what our control structure is like as well, which is a lot of the governance part.
Then yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy, Chair, with the assertion.
But they won't get this appendix 1 document.
No, I see. I'm with you now.
Any other questions? No, can we move then to for a proposal for this annual governance review?
So
Councillor
Are
Brown?
we just confirming that you're going to be answering yes to each of the assertions?
And make
Yes.
recommendation.
And you're going to make the recommendation to council, so yes to each assertion 1 to 9.
Yes. Is that clear? Do I need to?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, that's good. Sorry,
Yeah, I presume members at the full council can challenge at that stage if they need.
Absolutely, because that's all of these.
Gail will be there to announce those changes.
I will.
So thank you for the clarity on that. So for the sections 1 to 9, then may I have a proposer? Councillor Furman, seconder. Councillor Ellis. All in favour? No against, no abstention, so I confirm again that that section is carried. The annual governance statement. So moving on then to item 9, the accounting statements for 24-25. Following the scrutiny of the figures shown in the accounting statements for 24-25, it's proposed that the committee recommends sign off by full council. So all the appendices there have been circulated and read, I would think. So over to Gail to summarise, thank you.
So the accounting statements are the second part of the annual governance and accountability return, which I've completed and I've signed, but my signature is redacted on the appendix that's shown. The supporting paper shows where the figures have come from to go into that document, and the reconciliation for the bank, the reconciliation between boxes 7 and 8 between last year and this year. There was one item picked up last year by the external auditors that was using we quoted an incorrect bank account balance because they were using unpaid direct debits as a reconciling item. So that's been adjusted. And also the fixed assets that came to council at the beginning of April because they'd been overstated because they'd been carried forward from the parishes. Their holding value rather than the transfer value of £1. So those two items have been adjusted.
Okay.
And all the rest of the figures going off the accounting system. Check.
Great. Any questions? Councillor Tones?
Yeah, I just heard something about checking there. Not doubting you for a minute, Gal, but this, like, sort of all the figures here sort of blows my mind. So is there somebody within your team or peer review that it's not just you that's looking through this, the you know, the other management team look at it and can feed in, or is it all down to you? Before we send it off, I thought it seems like quite a big exercise for you to look, because I know if you put something together, it's very hard to then look back at your work and spot your potential. You know what I mean? It's always good to have a review, but I don't know if there's anyone in the team that does it.
As the RFO, I've signed it off, so I have to sign that off
Do
to the external auditor. They have all the supporting documentation that supports this, but actually our accounting system is set up so that it actually throws out the figures that go into that.
technology does the
And then the reconciling items, well, they have to balance, otherwise it doesn't work.
Right.
But yeah, again, because we're a council of our size, they do a lot more work and we have to provide them with a lot more additional figures.
Any further questions? We go on the accounting statements. I have one, if I may, Gail.
Yes.
With it's a bit of a high level one really, but on the external auditors, how are they chosen? Do due diligence regularly on those, or is it, how's that?
The external auditors are chosen by the smaller accounting, the SAAA, that's what it's called, the Smaller Audit Accounting Authority, which is which puts together tenders from the main accounting firms and chooses which ones councils of our size or town and parish councils will use. And then we get allocated those because they're the ones for our area. So they do all the due diligence. If we could do that, but then we'd have to go through all of that process ourselves and tendering and doing the due diligence, and they have a fixed fee as well.
Just following up on Councillor Cozy's sort of question, really, that we do have due diligence, and the external auditors are there's a process there that goes through, so it's pretty transparent and clear. Sorry.
And our external auditors are PKF Littlejohn. So they're one of the main top 10 county.
Yeah, that's good. Clarity on the south as well. That's really good. Yeah. So, and if there's no other questions, as Councillor Coes did say that the detail and the figures are quite a lot, but as they're checked and gone through as a team and then fully audited, I think that's a really good job and a good process. So, may I have a proposer for these? Councillor Ellis, seconder. Councillor Furman, all in favour? Okay, that's no abstentions, nothing against, so confirm that vote is now carried. Thank you very much, Gail. I would like to say at this stage, I'd like to thank Gail for all her hard work, as it's obviously extremely detailed and very well done. I don't know what we do without you. I'm sure Don could pick up, but no, well done again. I'm sure everybody would agree with that. That's good. So thank you very much. Are there any or any other questions? No?
No, done. 18:30.